Hello everyone, welcome to Red Carpet. I'm your host Laila, Khalid. In business, your values should be really important. They should be what drives you forward for you to build your business into bigger and better things. Our guest for today, Saqib Sheikh, who is a creative business person and mega mind behind Solely Skin and Hair products, which are vegan, plastic free and not being tested on animals. Let's welcome Saqib in our show. Thank you so much, Saqib, for joining me at my show, and I'm so happy to have you here today. Now that we are talking about Solely, how did you come up with this idea?
Thank you for having me, first of all. I came up with the idea from the business, basically from my own life experience. I was looking for products that were more eco-friendly and ones that would not leave such a harm on the planet. So I would look in the market, in the shops, online, and I didn't really feel that there was something that fitted me as a person. And I thought, if I feel like this, then there must be lots of other people in the same position. They want the best outcome, they want their hair and skin to look amazing, but there isn't something that speaks to them. There's things that are very much on the eco-friendly side, and they more had a hippie vibe to them, and I felt that didn't really connect with me. So I thought, why not create something of my own? And through my research, I saw there's lots of people who felt this way, and that's why I decided to go and give it a shot myself.
How did you come up with the name Solely? I know it's a vegan-free, vegan products, and it's plastic-free, not being animal tested as well.
So the name Solely, because it has the word soul in it, and when we do something good, I feel like it has a positive impact on our soul. So I basically thought of a way of using the word soul and connecting that with, when we feel good inside, I thought that name represented that. I went through lots of different stages, and this was the one that really stuck with me. Sometimes I think when you try to choose a name, you go through so many options, but often it's the first name you thought of that you end up going with, and that's what happened in this case as well.
It's a very nice name, Solely.
Yeah.
I love the name.
Thank you.
When we talk about skincare and hair care, hair are so important for everyone.
Definitely.
For you, for me, especially for me, actually.
I think we're all the same.
Women are very different because we go through hormones problems, and then our hair started to change, and the skin as well. So when I looking at the Solely, say if I come to your shop, I want to buy Solely because I don't want any harm, strong products on my skin and hair. How would you describe your Solely to me?
I think you're right, and I think not just women, men also, some men lose their hair quickly, some have better hair, thinner hair. So I think men have their own issues when it comes to hair as well. I think for me the biggest thing is that we don't have harmful chemicals. That was the biggest thing which I wanted to make sure was part of this product, because we don't want irritation, you don't want a red itchy scalp, and you don't want something created in a lab that's super artificial. So I thought, when I was working with the scientists who helped me formulate the products, that let's eliminate those things so people can feel good, both in terms of that their scalp is not being damaged, but also they know in the back of their mind that this won't cause harm to our planet later down the line as well.
So working along with the scientists, so it must have taken you probably a few years to come up with this idea?
I think it didn't take me a few years. I was very motivated. So I think it took me about 6 months back and forth with the scientists to actually develop the product work and have the product work the way I wanted it to. So we would test, he would do a new formula, we would keep adjusting until we finally got to the consistency and the performance level that we wanted. So other things took time, but I didn't take too long on this side of things, because I wanted to make sure it was something that got out there, as quick as I could.
Did you face any challenges? Because there's so much competition in the market.
I think there's always challenges, to be honest with you, and every stage in business has its own challenges. So in the early stages, I think the challenge is finding the right supplier, finding the right manufacturer, and actually getting to the market. So those are the challenges you face as a startup building the business. How do you actually get this thing together? Because you have to get contacts from all over the place. And then once you're an established business, once you're out there, the new challenges come. How do you sell the product? How do you get people to find out about the product? Are you doing pop-ups, social media, etc.? Amazing interviews like this as well. So the challenges always change, and I think that's the thing about being in business, being in any part of one's career. How do you adapt to those challenges, and how do you succeed and learn from mistakes? And because everyone makes mistakes, so how do you learn from the mistakes and make that part of your journey?
When we talk about that, how to market your product, and I know it can be very challenging, very difficult, because you need a lot of time, your quality time into this. How did you overcome with it?
To be honest with you, I think it's something that every business is, and every person, whether they're an influencer or a brand, or the challenge is, how do you make enough good content? How do you get the word out? So we're facing all those challenges all the time. I think the thing for us is consistency. Sometimes we have times where we struggle, we're not able to perform as well as we could, but it's just about sticking with it and finding people who can guide you and support you. So I have a lot of people who give me good advice and good guidance. And also I think the important thing is trying to bring people to work with you. So whether they're influencers or content creators, trying to build your network. And also for a product-based business, getting the product in front of people is really important. So we've done various pop-ups at John Lewis and Waitrose. And I think when people have the product in their hand, as well as having seen something online, they can bring those two together. And that's how you can slowly bring people on board. Because like you said, there's messages are hitting people all the time when it comes to new products, new brands, etc. So how do you break through? And I think the challenge is, just keep getting the message out there as much as possible.
With solely business, I understand you have another business as well.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that as well.
So I have a professional services business, and we mainly support professional firms in the UK. So we give them staff and teams that can support their business functions. So, for example, a business in London may wish to expand rapidly, but they don't have the capacity to hire staff quickly. We have team members who can join their business on a contractual basis and provide them support immediately.
Oh, so how do you cope with two businesses solely, and then you have another business?
It's a big challenge.
Yeah,
it's a big challenge, but it's fun. I think the biggest thing is that I have a very good manager and team for my services business, and we work together all the time. And I think really working with people is the way to do it, because no one person can do everything alone. So you really need support, and you need to build a network around you. And I think that's the only way, to be honest.
Do you have time to sleep? Do you have any other activities as well?
I do. I think I have some kids as well.
Oh, wow.
So I have to balance that side of things. And also I really enjoy playing sports. I play tennis, and I'm big into fitness and gym. So I think with planning, with a little less sleep sometimes, one has to try and manage all these things, because if one side takes over, then your body will suffer later, or your mental state will suffer later. So it's about trying at least to maintain the balance. Like I know you're a big fitness person, and I think it really helps keep your mind clear and positive as well.
I think being in the fitness is just a personal choice, but I believe that it's very good for your mental health and for your mindset, because every time when you exercise, you just feel so good, and all the positive vibes are just coming in your mind, and you have so many ideas just open in front of you. But I don't know, I'm not talking about the business, I mean other ideas as well.
Yeah, of course.
How was the response from your family about the Soli?
My family were very supportive. I think they knew that I was always interested in this area. So one of my sisters, she is also kind of into the entrepreneurship side of things. We kind of helped each other along the way. And my family, basically they supported me quite a bit in that. They gave me good ideas. And sometimes you feel down as well in your entrepreneurial journey, because maybe one thing is taking too long, or you just can't achieve one part of your goal. And they helped me to persevere, stick with it, and keep looking at different avenues, different ways to get through this problem. So I think having a support structure really, it's important for a business person, or any person, to be honest.
Soli is based in UK, USA, and Pakistan, is that right?
At the moment we're selling in the UK and Europe, and we want to expand further in the near future as well.
And how's the response from the customers?
The response has been good. I think what feels good as someone who starts a business is when someone, like for example at our pop-up, when someone buys something and then they send you a message on Instagram that, oh, it actually really worked, or we were really happy with it. And those personal stories, I think, is what makes all the hard work feel worth it in a sense. And when they buy it once and they buy it again, and obviously you can see on your system that this person's bought it 2, 3 times, 4 times. That's when you start to feel that this means something. And it means something to you because you put in all the hard work. So I think the more we get the word out there, the response has been good.
Tell me about your life background. Your background. I know you're from Pakistan, but just tell us about everything about yourself.
So
because you're so young.
Well,
and I'm just wondering, and I'm sure my audience or people who are watching us might be thinking, such a young guy, 2 businesses. What is all about you?
Well, I think everyone's journey is different, but I was born in the UK. My grandparents are from Pakistan. and they came here, whenever they did, many decades ago. I grew up in England, in Surrey, and then I went to university in America, Boston University, and that's where I kind of got more into business. I studied business there, and then when I came back to England, I worked in some other companies. I worked in a family investment company, worked in a more corporate environment, and then I kind of realized that this isn't really for me, because I want to be able to explore my ideas and take them somewhere. And in those roles where I was previously, someone else was giving me the direction, do it like this, do it like that, use this person, use that person, and I wanted to really control the direction of my life in a sense. And so that's when I decided to kind of do things on my own. So I first started working more in the real estate field. So I did some work in that field with some other business partners, and we had a good journey. But I think working with people is always a challenge, because you can often have different goals and different ways of doing things. So at that point I realized that I want to do things on my own, because then there's less opportunity for you to clash with people. And often when you work with friends, which I was doing in one of my previous businesses, you want to maintain your friendship. So in my previous business, we decided to go separate ways because we wanted our friendship to continue, and the business couldn't work in the way we both wanted. So then that's why I decided to do it on my own. And since then, I've been doing it like as a master of my own destiny in a sense. So I've had offers, like especially with my services business, for people who want to be a partner or become a shareholder, but I haven't wanted to do that because I want to be the one who makes the decision and also take responsibility. So if it goes wrong, it's also my fault. I can't blame anyone. So that's part of the thing, I think, is taking responsibility and being the one kind of in charge of the journey and how it looks, which is something that I felt was quite important for me.
You know, it's very good that you just said that. I was actually thinking about it.
Yes.
Many people around us like to do business with their friends and family.
Yeah.
But there's so many complications.
Yeah.
And also the trust. And when we work around families, it can be very challenging, because if anything goes wrong,
yeah, exactly,
we're not going to take the blame, because we're going to blame the other person as well. Isn't it very difficult for you just doing yourself? What about the family? What about your wife?
I think you're right, number one. My wife is very supportive. So she has her own business, which she runs, which is based in Pakistan. She has a furniture business, which she's been running for almost 10 years. So she moved back to Pakistan after her college, and she's always been very supportive and encouraging. She does help me, but she works on her own business and I work on my own business. I think sometimes between husband and wife it can work to work together on a business. It's different to other family or more distant family. So I think that is different. But I think sometimes we have to sacrifice, maybe in some ways, we have to put the relationship first that we have with our friends sometimes, and that might mean not doing certain things with the friend. So it's better to let's stay friends and we'll keep our business separate, because when you're friends with someone, then maybe your wives are friends, your kids are friends. So you don't want to ever. I feel it's better not to make a problem that can interfere in the friendship. So keep your business on one side and keep everything very clear, I think, is what's helped me.
So when I'm going to go back again to the story, because we are going to talk about the different skin texture.
Yeah.
People have combination skin, dry skin, oily skin, normal skin.
Yeah.
Do you have all the individual products for the individual skin texture?
Yeah, so we have 3 categories for each product. So those are varying. Some are for frizzy hair, some are for different types of skin.
I have to cut you hair. When you say frizzy hair, your customer is sitting here.
No, you have fantastic hair.
I have a frizzy hair. If I do not straighten them, if I just wash them and leave it, they're like probably a bird nest.
No, well, it looks lovely today, so you don't have to worry. So we're trying to expand the range. At the moment, we don't cater for every need, but as we grow, we'll cater for more. But for example, one of the products which I gave you today is like a refreshing product. So that is more if you're in the morning feeling tired, had a late night, that gives you more of a refreshing feeling. Other products we have more of a soothing. So if you have an irritated scalp, the ingredients in there would lend itself more to calming your skin down a little bit. So we've tried to do that, and in our future plans is obviously to expand and cover the range, because everyone is different, and we want to be there for people to support them with their needs, whatever they are.
What is the best advice you have been giving in the business field, and that you like to share with me and with the people?
I think it might sound like a cliche, but just keep going. You might feel terrible, you might not know what to do, but just keep going, because something will happen eventually. It's natural to get down and maybe even depressed and think, where is this going? And I think everyone in business and life feels that sometimes, whether it's in our personal life as well. But you just have to find a way, find a different route. If this person is not working as a supplier, find someone else. Speak to as many people as you can. But if your mindset is that I have to get there in the end, then that I think will help you on that journey. You can't give yourself an option, is what I would say. That I couldn't, okay, if this doesn't work, I'll do this. You can't think like that. You have to think that this is it. Because otherwise, if you give yourself options, then you end up getting halfway with 15 things, as opposed to getting to the nearer the end with one thing. And I think that's important, is seeing things through.
Just to contribute your energy to the plan A. Just
stick
one
to the
option.
plan.
Stick to the
plan.
plan.
Stick to the plan.
People do become very negative when they are doing any business journey.
Yeah.
And it's very difficult for them to probably speak to someone else or to speak to the family.
Yeah.
Because Asian culture is very different.
Yeah.
We probably, before the person starts the business, there's already negativity.
Yeah, you're so right.
Is there anything happened in your life when you were starting your business solely?
I think
and how did you overcome with this?
I think that it depends who you talk to, but there's always people who say, oh, it's such a crowded market, how will you break through? And that's not to say we're still on our journey, you know, we're not at where we want to be yet, of course, we're still in the journey. But lots of people will say, oh, how, you know, there's these $1 million brands, how are you going to get through that? And to be honest with you, I think one thing that business people have to do is they have to be a bit stubborn sometimes. And maybe business people think too much of themselves. I don't mean that in a bad way, but you have to think too, if you want to be successful, you have to think something of yourself, right? Because if you don't think you can do it, there's lots of people who say you can't do it. And if you know deep down that you can do it, then that's the only thing that will keep you going. Because like you said, in any culture, maybe Asian culture, Pakistani culture, everyone gives you advice without asking for advice.
That's right, but to be honest,
advice.
Pakistani culture is so negative, and I am speaking through my experience as well. There's always the first thing is negativity and judgment.
Yeah. To be honest, my family is pretty supportive and positive. I'll be honest. Like my dad has his own business as well, so he understands the business journey. I think that the only thing that proves them wrong is when you start getting somewhere. Then you have something say that is concrete. Look, I did it. I have my own TV show, or I was successful in fashion, or I was successful in something. Then once the success is there, people can't say anything to that because the results speak for themselves. But also, I think as a new generation, we have to kind of separate ourselves a little bit from that way of thinking, because at the end of the day, at the end of the year, at the end of the month, we have to pay the bills. We have to deliver the results for ourselves and for our families, right? And other people's feedback and advice, it's not going to do that. The only thing that's going to do that is you made something of yourself, right? So I think that's how people need to think, because there's always going to be doubters, there's always going to be a critic, but you can't pay the bills with criticism and people's advice. You can only pay it with your hard work.
Small achievements or big achievements. I think every achievements are the success for an individual. But so many people, they're just looking into their failures and they don't want to probably take a next step to probably produce something very special.
Yeah.
Do you think our society is under pressure not to impress themselves, but to impress other people, to be acceptable in the society, to become successful? And they can sometimes they can take shortcut. What do you think about that?
I think that's a very true statement, but I think it's all about how you position things in your mind. If we look at other very successful business people or sports people, they've failed 100 times before they succeed. Even if you look at sports, like for example, I'm into tennis, right? So I hope you don't mind the example, but I was watching the statistic that the great players, they only win 55% of the points over their career, but really they've won hundreds of titles, but they win in the moments that matter. And I think that's the thing that we have to take with us is don't look at don't call it a failure, but it's a lesson. So I had businesses in the past that didn't work out for various reasons, but everything taught me something. And I think that, again, it kind of goes back to what I said earlier. We need to take ourselves out of the mindset of what do other people think, because it doesn't, you can go and get a flashy car on a rent, you can do all these things, but at the end of the day, what is going to fulfill you inside? Isn't it? Sometimes the more flashy things, the more empty the person, I feel like. So fulfill your basic needs, I would say, is the most important thing, and live for yourself, because at the end of the day, you're going to go home to yourself, look yourself in the mirror. All those people you're trying to impress are not going to be sitting with you in the living room. It's going to be you, and you have to live, with the decisions and the things that you've done. So we have to, like I said, kind of separate ourselves from that. And I hope in a new generation that people are trying to do that more. And it's difficult with social media as well. But I think slowly, the youngsters and people younger than me are trying to get away from that old way of thinking. And I think that's the only way for us to get to the next stage.
Time is very short,
yeah.
And I probably have to tell you something. It was lovely talking to you, and I feel so motivated today after talking to you. I feel like probably I should take some examples from you as well.
No, not at all.
Just to go see myself and say, oh, Laila, you can do that as well. I would like you to give a positive message to the people who are watching us and to our audience.
So thank you very much for having me today. If I would say one thing, is that stick with what you believe in. Push yourself and don't give up in the moments that matter, and really believe in what you believe, and make sure that you always put yourself first, and put the things that you want as the main priority for you in your life.
Thank you so much for watching me today. I'm your host Laila Khalid, and I will see you next week with another guest from me. Goodbye.